Is it already a year?
I guess it is.
Wow, a year full of wonderful experiences. We always wondered how it is to travel longer than just our holidays.
To dive deeper into our culture.
To learn a total new language.
To travel to countries and cultures we've never been.
We decided to take off from our former jobs, from our apartment, our life in Zurich.
Simply to travel and explore the world.
And to learn total new skills.
Can we speak to a camera?
Or can we fly a drone all over the world?
Can we edit a video?
All those questions were unknown when we took our first flight.
We started literally with one of our life's highlights, safari in Africa.
Our first impression of the Kruger National Park were so overwhelming, our minds were blown.
I never thought that we'd see that many elephants, a giraffe crossing the street in front of our car, a lioness was hunting on our first day.
And the hippo was chasing crocs into the water. The ones who have seen the vlog are for sure grinning right now. So many zebras jumping around through the grass and the lion cubs playing around all day long.
7 days in the Kruger National Park would have been enough to tell you stories for an entire vlog. But these were only the first 7 days. We have 358 more to convince you to start your own adventure.
In Mozambique, not only the unpaved gravel road surprised us, but also the underwater world, colorful and full of life, swimming with the biggest fish in the sea. These giant whale sharks was an epic experience.
Back in South Africa, a rhino almost attacked us because her baby was too interested in our car. We are still a bit shaky when thinking about that day.
In Swaziland, we hopped on 2 horses to get closer to the wildlife.
And on the famous garden route in South Africa, we learned that ostriches bite into shiny things and fingers. And we met those cute little penguins, but mostly we found food paradise. Not only the steaks were mouth-watering, but also the wines in Stellenbosch world class.
Already thought that Africa can't get any better. Namibia hooked us. What an unbelievable diverse and beautiful country. Now one of my favorites in the world.
The view over the Fingerklip Mountains, the best waterhole experience in the Etosha National Park with flirting elephants and shy drinking giraffes. As they are the most vulnerable, they need hours to approach a drinking place.
And then we met this impressive and majestic king of the jungle, a male lion, and he performed for us the probably funniest attack ever. He pretended to hunt a zebra just for fun.
Another massive wonder of nature waited for us in Zambia and Zimbabwe, the overwhelming Victoria Falls, the largest waterfalls in the world.
On the Chobe River, our experiences in Botswana started wonderful, before we got stuck in deep sand on our second day exploring the Chobe National Park with our camper 4x4. In this fine sand we had no chance and got stuck twice in one day. Luckily there were always friendly helpers around.
A totally new adventure for us waited in the Covanga Delta. We booked a 2-day trip into this wide river system, including tent sleeping and walking safaris. Not only fresh lion prints awaited us, no, we got close to zebras, giraffes and elephants just by walking around and slept next to a feeding hippo.
Back in Namibia, we wanted to explore the wonderful sand dunes of Sossusvlei, but we ended in a big sandstorm.
Only the first 3 months in Africa had already been such an adventure. But now the American continents are calling us. We've never been to South America and we've been so keen to set foot on new territories.
But first we started with a short holiday in New York City and Florida, where my family visited us, and it was so good to see them all.
We explored New York City for 4 days with all its amazing places. A river cruise to see the Statue of Liberty and the stunning skyline of Manhattan, the One World Trade Center, walking over the Brooklyn Bridge and cruising to the city with bikes. Top of the Rocks was very cloudy, and as we caught some rain at night, the Aladdin musical and a visit at Ellen's Stardust was perfect.
And then we continued with a road trip through Florida, including a nice Chevy Cabrio, some airboat racing in the alligator territory, the Everglades, and relaxing days in Key West.
Our first stop in Latin America was Mexico, and we decided to start a road trip in Tulum. We loved especially the little town of Tulum with its colors, food, sounds and mojitas. Not particularly the jungle road, and especially not the beach, as we had so much seaweed in August.
For us, food in Mexico was an absolute highlight of our travel so far. It was so tasty, nothing else is better. Okay, maybe Thai food, but we didn't reach Asia till now.
Architectural, the Maya ruins in Mexico are fascinating. Visit them all. Tulum at the ocean, Goba in the jungle, Palenque, Uxmal and famous Chichen Itza.
And we jumped into the refreshing cenotes, little natural swim holes, which was perfect for the hot summer weather.
Not to forget the beauty of Agua Azul, the waterfall with its turquoise clear water.
Oh, and the islands of Mexico, Isla Holbox and Mujeres. Especially Holbox is my favorite paradise. So relaxing.
In between the islands, we enjoyed a luxury brunch in Cancun. It was a delicious journey of its own. In Belize, we made new travel friends and dived the second largest barrier reef in the world.
Tikal was one of the most amazing Maya ruins we climbed, surrounded by nature and wildlife. It was our start in Guatemala.
Here we dive deeper into one of these Latin cultures. We went back to school, learned Spanish, lived with a local family and enjoyed all the culture and delicious taste of this amazing country.
It's definitely a country for explorers. One of the most colorful experiences we had on the market of Chichicastenango, and of course beautiful ancient Antigua, one of my favorite little towns in Latin America.
We started our Colombia trip in Cartagena. a colorful colonial town where we tasted tropical fruits and tapas.
And in Tayrona National Park, we stayed overnight and slept in a hammock on a dream beach. We walked in through mud, but we went the best way out ever on the back of a horse.
And then we went back to school in the former most dangerous city in the world, Medellin. And we visited the former most dangerous suburb, the Comuna 13, now full of life, hope and street art.
And in Guatapé, we made 675 steps upwards to see the wonderful view over this landscape. And we walked through the little colorful town of Guatapé.
As Colombia is famous for its coffee, we picked our own coffee beans. The green hills were my absolute highlight. I loved the coffee, the hummingbirds,
It took me hours to get these shots.
and its spectacular landscapes.
Yeah, with the really high wax palm trees. Next on our travel route was the probably most amazing place on earth. We met the Galapagos turtles on the islands, snorkeled and swam with seals.
They were so playful and funny.
And we watched them sunbathing for hours. And all these funny, colorful sally crabs around.
And the most fascinating animal of them all, the marine iguana.
And how they adapted to nature. This island is amazing. And we climbed the origins of the Galapagos, the volcanic region of Sierra Negra.
We found the bird with its blue feet, the blue-footed booby, and a lonely penguin.
And we went diving.
Yeah, we saw many sharks, rays, and for the first time ever, a hammerhead shark.
Oh wow! And on San Cristobal Islands we did lots of hikes and we met baby seals everywhere.
Back on mainland Ecuador, we traveled the most dangerous train tracks in the world, the Nariz del Diablo.
Yeah, but it was only dangerous during constructions many years back. But we learned about the history and culture and attended the colorful traditional dancing.
Wow, that was only the first 6 months?
Yeah, an overwhelming amount of impressions, colors, tastes and wonderful experiences.
And we have 6 more months to tell you about. So, next up, Peru. Probably the most diverse country we've ever traveled. In Iquitos, we went to the Amazon jungle for the first time ever. We swam with piranhas and met those cute little sloths.
Oh yeah, the favorites of my brother who was traveling with us. And back on the coast at Islas Palestras, we met the penguins. And we went sandboarding in the oasis of Huacachina.
We flew over the famous Nazca lines with a bumpy little plane full of vloggers. And continued to Cusco, which was the starting point for our hike to the famous Machu Picchu.
At our second station in the jungle, we met the giant otter, the howler monkeys, and the colorful macaws feeding at the clinic. Some of us were just bored after 3 hours.
La Paz in Bolivia was all about riding cable cars and food, because it's an absolute food paradise.
Yeah, we had delicious Bolivian lunch and a 7-course vegan dinner.
My personal highlight, the Salar de Uyuni. It was hilarious to take those perspective shots.
And we got really creative after a while.
And it was wonderful to walk through this mirror-like landscape where we couldn't separate the sky from the ground anymore.
In Chile, we visited several vineyards around Santiago and Valparaiso, tasted delicious Carmenere red wine and enjoyed superb cheese and meat platters. And after that, we flew over the Andean mountains to the next wine region, Mendoza, with its wonderful Malbec red wines, and we visited them by bike.
How stupid was that in midsummer? In Buenos Aires, we felt the heat of Argentina, the spirit, the long nights and the vibes of tango. Colorful Caminito was full of history and culture, street art and dancing. And of course, we tasted the Argentinian steaks.
And the story of Eva Peron was always present. In Senor Tango's show, the famous cemetery recollector with her grave, and this was actually a museum as its own.
After 9 months out in the world, just the two of us,
Oh,
we missed friends and family so much that we came back home and stayed in Switzerland for 2 weeks. We met them all and even met a new family member.
and we enjoyed Swiss cheese and winter for a while. It was so good to see you all. Back on the road, we explored the Hawaiian Islands for almost a month. We were camping in a tent and ended up in a luxury hotel. Yeah, sometimes you need to learn more about yourself.
But to tell you more about this paradise, we started with underestimated Oahu, with especially the North Shore, the beautiful beaches, with all the surfers, the waves, the little towns.
On Big Island, we explored the origin of the island, so many volcanoes. But unfortunately no floating lava anymore, as it is calm on Big Island at the moment.
Not so calm while snorkeling. We met spinner dolphins on the water, we swam with them, we saw them jump, and we watched a turtle in her natural habitat.
The fruits and the views on the road to Hana in Maui were spectacular. The diving in Malokini, colorful and full of life, and a sunset on the Halekaela mountain, an epic and unique experience in the world.
And nights out in Lahaina with typical Hawaiian live music, a cold beer and a burger was a perfect finish.
Before we went to the garden island of Kauai with its massive powering waterfalls and its chickens all over and their peeps everywhere, and the beauty of Waimea Canyon and the Napali coast. That day on the sailing boat was probably the best on Hawaii.
New continent. We actually just arrived in Australia more than a month ago.
Starting in Sydney with its famous Opera House and the Great Harbour Bridge, this city has it all. Great beaches at the front door, coastal walks, beautiful nature, big city vibes, and so friendly people. I just fell in love.
Returning after 10 years felt somehow like returning home.
And now we are on our long way with Tony, our own camper van. We're sleeping in it, cooking, camping, and enjoying the wonders of the East Coast right now.
That day trip to the magnetic island in our barbecue was just so much fun. Especially its few inhabitants, the koalas, high up in the trees.
Oh, they're so cute! And cuddling with one of them was my dream.
And the wallabies, jumping around and the little rock wallabies eating carrots. A day full of wildlife.
Another highlight was our sailing trip to the Whitsundays, the widest and most beautiful beach in the world.
And just a night later we woke up to see the early sunrise while wallabies and kangaroos were feeding at the beach. Just wow!
Wow! At the East Coast, one highlight chases the other. Our 2-day trip on the biggest sand island of the world, Fraser, was just so much fun. Driving in deep sand and on the beach, floating in freshwater creeks, visiting the famous shipwreck and swimming in the bluest lake ever.
and our long way continues. If you liked the video, give us a thumb up and join our channel.
We stay a little bit in Australia, enjoy our road trip and show you the beauty of this huge country. And after that, we continue in the Asian world. New countries awaiting. See you soon, lovely people!